Greetings to everyone. I'm Andrew from Hungary. And before you ask, no, I'm not hungry. And let's jump straight to our main question, which keeps buzzing in a lot of Canon shooters' mind after the R7 announcement. How does the Sigma 150 to 600 perform on the R7? Hashtag budget wildlife. During this review, I will show you lots of unedited raw files just to be more realistic and to demonstrate how the R7 focus system paired with the Sigma handles distractions and busy background. So don't get confused by the bad colors and weird spacing. Also, not every shot is so-called professional due to huge distances between me and the birds, bad light conditions and so on. I just took them to show you how our combo performs under different scenarios. That's it. So I started my test day at home very early because I have spotted a greenfinch on a near bush from my kitchen's window. I took almost 13 shots and every picture was in focus. The IF worked just fine, just really fine. So first impressions were great, but I had a close bird and a smooth background. It was just too easy for a test. I wanted to dig deeper about how the R7 and Sigma combo perform under more challenging situations to give you a more complex picture. So I drove to a lake nearby. No setups, no hides, just me walking around with my tripod, hoping to get the chance to really test the R7 and the Sigma. The overcast and dark morning even hardened the challenge. Firstly, I managed to take some photos of a resting bone swallow. The distance between us was around 12 meters. As you can see, the background was quite busy, the swallow was small in the frame, but the R7 did a great job again picking the subject. I'm on a budget, so I don't have a camera monitor yet, but I try to show you the amazing IAF on the work. It was made by me with my other hand keeping my old phone, so the quality is bad, but the results are very satisfying. The camera picked up the swallows without any issue. During the swallow photo shoot, I spotted a female Eurasian blackcap. Even though she was very little on the frame and a little bit covered by leaves, and even a swallow hardened the focusing, the camera just nailed her eye. Only 2 shots were misfocused. Later on, I managed to get closer to her and I could take some cute photos with natural background. As I continued the day, the R7 and Sigma combo kept surprising me. Photo review minutes are coming. During the day, I took some very overexposed shots of a male red-backed shrike, but the R7 nailed the focus every time. Here you can see a young red-backed shrike. Unedited photos, again, the focus was spot on almost every time, except for 4 pictures. Despite the disturbing leaves in front. Just look how cute this little shrike is. Then I saw a female grey tree warbler. The background was busy again. She was searching for food, but I nailed the shot. After this, I took some images of a song thrush. Here is my favorite, but yeah, it wasn't so challenging. But this following picture blows my mind, really. I mean, this is a very unusable picture. The bird was far away, small on the frame, massively covered. The background was busy. But the IF spotted the bird and is in focus, which is total crazy. Believe it or not, my keeper rate was 100% with this bird. So the lake session was awesome, but I headed towards to meet with bee eaters. The wind was blowing crazy The bee-eaters were hiding and they were covered by branches, so I could only see them when the wind blew away the branches for a few seconds. Excellent conditions to really test a combo, isn't it? You have probably guessed that my keeper rate wasn't 100% during this session. I took some misfocused shots, but 80% of my images were sharp. I really love the shot when almost the whole bird is covered, but you can see his eye and the camera kept the focus on it. Just amazing. The bee-eaters flew away, but I saw some cattle. So I tried to show the focus system again with my other hand. The quality is bad, but still better than nothing, I guess. At the end of the day, I went to a field to search for some wildlife. Luckily, I spotted a pheasant couple. I was well above them, the grass was high, so I thought it was just perfect time for a pheasant test. I took 242 images. Honestly, I counted twice. And only 7 of them were misfocused, like this. The rest were sharp. Not a bad keeper rate, isn't it? The camera kept tracking the birds even when they were almost covered. My favorite picture from this session is this, because the male pheasant really showed his JimHalpert skills. Pam was surely happy. When the sunset came and it was getting dark, as a final, I spotted a young song thrush between the bushes. I used very low shutter speed, very high ISO, still underexposed, but considering the circumstances and the fact that I was at ISO 12,800, the result is not that bad. Duade Paton is an awesome YouTuber. I highly recommend to follow him. He made a review about the Sigma Contemporary's performance on the Canon R5, linked down below. He and many of his followers noticed that occasionally there is a posing issue with the focus system, which means the camera can't lock on the subject and just keep coming in and out of focus. According to his comment, Sigma confirmed that the Sigma 150 to 600C is not compatible with the eye tracking servo mode of the Canon mirrorless bodies. But did I experience this issue with my Canon R7? Honestly, so far, I haven't noticed anything like that. My keeper rate had never been higher. At the end of the day, all in all, it was nearly 90%. This rate was dream as a former 90D shooter. Generally, the focusing speed was also satisfying for me. Of course, you cannot compare this Sigma lens to a Canon L series prime, so it's not that super quick. But for a budget photographer, I guess it's more than just fine. Another thing that I want to talk about, that when we solve bad image, we blame the gear every time. But in most cases, we should admit that the problem is not with the gear, but with us. For example, I spotted a female little bittern between the bushes. They are really good at hide and seek games, so I was so glad to spot her. But at the moment of joy, I had released the shutter button before I actually tapped the focus button. The result is totally blurry picture and missed action shots. But fortunately, later on I managed to take some nice images. Near the lake, I have spotted a turtle dove sitting on a huge branch. I took some okayish picture, then it flew away. As you can see, the focus stayed on the bird despite the branches in front. Good tracking performance. However, sometimes the focus sticks to the front branch, but thankfully just in a few times. Later on, when I was in the field, I spotted doves very far away. Nobody would take shots in this situation, I guess, but I tried to track one of them between the bushes. Despite the really huge distance and the disturbing bushes, the camera locked the focus on the bird except one case. Some people say that the Sigma Contemporary is not so sharp. Well, of course, you cannot compare it with a 10 times more expensive Canon L primes, but for the price, you get a really great value. You just have to know the lens limitations. For example, I never shoot wide open. f8 has become my favorite aperture, and trust me, at f8 you can get really sharp results with this lens. To be able to use the Sigma Contemporary on the R7, you need to have an EF to RF adapter. According to my experiences in the field, the adapter worked just really fine. I didn't have any issue. The focusing speed, for example, seemed as fast, if not even faster, on the R7 as on the 90D without adapter. When I shoot, I like to have presets. I have dark presets on manual mode with high ISO, low shutter speed, and different modes on C1, 2, 3, 3. For example, average preset for stills, birds in flight preset with minimum a 2000 per second shutter speed, and a preset with a mechanical shutter. But I don't think I will use the traditional shutter much because it is quite loud, surely much louder than my former 90D. You can find a very great video on Wide Alaska channel by Scott West about how to set up the autofocus and the button layout on the R7. My settings are quite the same as his, so I recommend you to check his video and channel. You won't regret it. Links down below. Unfortunately, so far I have only had a UHS-1 card with 90 megabit per second speed, which means that even though I shoot in 0, the buffer feels very fast. So yet I couldn't use the advantage of the 15 frames per second, not to mention the 30 frames per second option. In general, surely not everyone can afford an R3, R5, even an R6 body. The funny thing is that here in Hungary, the R7 also seems quite expensive. But its price point, this camera with the Sigma Contemporary just works amazing for an ordinary bird enthusiast who cannot afford any flagship or high-end body. I saw a lot of Jan Wegener's video. He's also a great YouTuber worth following. And he said a lot that the IAF is really a game changer. I always thought, okay, Jan, okay. But having experienced this in my hands, I have to admit he was right. It's just so delighting when you see the blue square on the subject eye right after you press the focus button and the focus just sticks to the subject. It's such a fun. Also, for a former 90D DSLR user, my keeper rate also set to a much higher level. The ISO performance of the R7 also seems better than the 90D. For example, with the 90D, I have never gone higher than ISO 1600. With the R7, I think till 4000 or 6400 ISO, you can get acceptable results, but it really depends on the lighting conditions and the background, of course. So the R7 and the Sigma Contemporary has really surprised me, and I'm sure this combo will make a lot of wildlife lovers happy and delighted. So if you have this combo, I really want to see your experiences, what works and what doesn't work for you. So feel free to comment, or if you have further questions, I'm here to answer. I'm not begging for likes, I'm not begging for subscriptions, just wanted to help because surely I'm not alone as a budget wildlife fan. All in all, wildlife photography can be done in a super expensive and in a budget level. At the end of the day, not the money that matters, but that you enjoy wildlife photography with your gear to become richer with experiences and nice memories while being in harmony with the nature.